Hi, everyone, and welcome to Chapter 2 of the Bookshelf Odyssey YouTube channel, in which I talk about my Victober TBR list. Now, I know the background behind me is not my usual bookcase. That's because I'm stuck in the attic today because I needed to record and my family's running around downstairs making lots of noise, so I get kicked up here, which is fine, except it's summer in Iowa and there's no air conditioning up here. So if I pass out while doing this video, uh, it's fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. Right? Anyway, welcome back. Today I'm really excited to be talking about my Victober TBR. And I probably put too much thought into this once Katie over at Books and Things made the announcement. I saw what the challenges were for Victober this year, and a couple days later I started planning my reading list. And as usual, I probably went I put a lot of time thinking in about it and what I wanted to do this year. I didn't participate that much last year. I think I just read one Victorian novel, which is enough to participate. The year before, I think I read a ton. So it depends on how I'm feeling this year. I'm going to try to meet the challenges and we'll see how I get on with that. So let me tell you about the books I'll be reading this year for Victober. First of all, I'm very, very grateful for, I think it's Katie from Books and Things, Kate Howe from her booktube channel, and oh boy, there's somebody else. Lucy the Reader, another one of my favorites, is also hosting the Victober challenge this year. So thank you, ladies. This is right in my wheelhouse, and I get very excited every year when I first discovered what Victober was. It was a couple years ago, probably 2018, maybe 2017, somewhere in there, and started reading along and trying to follow the challenges. So this year I wanted it. I'm really in the mood for kind of a spooky reading month. So I decided I would try to keep my choices to be as close to Victorian ghost stories or sensation novels, which is actually one of the challenges, as I could. Just something to really capture that atmosphere of fall. So with that in mind, I'm just going to walk you through the challenges or the books I'm going to read this year. And Kate Howe, I believe, that's her challenge. And her challenge is to read a Victorian sensation novel. So I am going to try to read books I haven't read yet, with one exception, which I'll get to. But okay, so this year, for the Sensation Novel Challenge, I'm going to read Uncle Silas by J. Sheridan Le Fanu. Fanu? I don't know. I'm pronouncing it wrong. That's what I do. That one sounds really interesting. And a lot of these I haven't really read a lot about because, you and I know that Victorian novels like to spoil all the plots on the back of the book for some reason, and I don't understand why, but they do. It is described as a Victorian Gothic mystery thriller, and Le Fanu was I wish I could say his name, Sheridan. We'll call him Sheridan. He is an Irish writer, so he counts for Victober. It looks like this story came out of a shorter story and he turned it into a novel. Where is my notes? Here we go. Katie's challenge from Books and Things. Her challenge is to read a Victorian book set in the countryside and or the city. So I decided to go with one I've read before and loved, A Tale of Two Cities. I thought it would be fun to read a comfort read during October. And though the book is not necessarily scary, or I don't know if I'd even call it a sensation novel, it certainly it's very atmospheric, very dark at times, but so beautifully written, and it's such a comfort read for me. But I'm going to do it on audio book, and I have from Audible a Tale of Two Tale of Two Cities read by Simon Callow, who I love his voice. So I think I haven't listened to it yet, but I think I'm going to really, really enjoy that. So that's my Victorian book set in the city in this case. And I mean, A Tale of Two Cities, it just lends itself there. It's maybe not that original of a selection, but you know, that's all right. For Lucy's challenge, to read a Victorian book with a female main character. And I love this challenge because there were quite a few of those on my TBR list, so I'm able to cut that down a little bit. But I'm going to go with Aurora Floyd, and that's written by Mary Elizabeth Braddon, one of my favorite Victorian writers. I've read Lady Audley's Secret and loved that. I've read some of her short stories, loved them. So I'm going to be working my way through her extensive work that she produced. But Aurora Floyd sounded right up to what I was looking for this Victober. And it's described as a sensation novel, and it apparently forms a sequel to Lady Audley's Secret. Don't know much more than that, but I thought I'm going to give it a try. It's a book of hers I need to read, so that all sounded good. A little bit about this book, spoiler free, hopefully. But it says at the age of 17, Aurora is suddenly sent away from her home and to a finishing school, but returns after an absence of 15 months. It looks like she meets a guy, things happen. That's about all as far as I'm going to read to find out what this is about. So not really telling us a whole lot here that we didn't already know. It's about a lady named Aurora Floyd, and we'll see how it turns out. The group read this year I'm very excited about. It's Gothic Tales by Elizabeth Gaskell. And I just read that last year, I think. I may have actually read it for Victober last year. I'd have to look. But I'm up to read it again. On my podcast, I've been reading some of her short stories. A couple of them are in this collection. And so that's great. They're so good. And if you haven't read her short stories yet, I'm really excited for you. They're really good. My favorites so far are definitely The Old Nurse's Tale and The Gray Woman, which both of those I'm reading on the podcast. If you want to go and listen to those. Also, depending on when this video drops, keep a lookout on my podcast because I will be interviewing Dr. Diane Duffy from the Gaskell Society and the Gaskell House in England. And I'll be talking with her about Elizabeth Gaskell and some of these works that I've been talking about. So if that's something of interest to you, I will have that link in the show notes. You can check those out. And then a bonus challenge, which I am really excited about the bonus challenge, and that is to read aloud a section of a Victorian work or have it read aloud to you, to a friend, or an audiobook. And I mean, if you listen to my podcast, that is a majority of what my podcast is about, is reading these Victorian works out loud. I have found by listening to them on audiobook, I understand them better, but also there's just a joy in reading this. Like, many of them are meant to be read out loud. And so I know I'm going to do at least one video in addition to my podcast. So we'll see how that, I'm not sure quite how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to sit here and read to you while you can all look at my wonderful face, or do some kind of other audiobook experience type thing. But I know I'm going to read The Star by H.G. Wells, and I might do some Wells short stories, or I might do some more, at least maybe one a week, maybe more, depending on what I have time for. But I'm going to do at least that one and read it aloud for you. I love H.G. Wells's stories. He doesn't always necessarily age well in some of his writing, but if those of us who read Victorian literature a lot, we run into those things that wouldn't be the way they're written, wouldn't be written that way today. But we show a little grace, we show some understanding of the time that it's in, and we learn from that. All that to say, I'm not sure of anything objectionable in the Star. Just thought I'd throw that out there because it came to mind. But that's a story where I think a planet is crashing into Earth, something like that. And Wells writes about what happens if that were to happen. That's what I'm going to read. I'm going to see if I can find some more kind of dark or spooky stories to read because it's October. It's here in the United States anyway. We do Halloween, and everyone's mind is just kind of in the dark and gloomy time of year. And it's just a perfect time to gather together and read stories out loud. So I'm looking forward to also, if you are doing the read aloud challenge, and if you're doing a video about it, let me know, and I'll be sure to be looking out for you because I think reading aloud is such a wonderful habit to be in. When my wife and I were first married, we read aloud to each other a lot, especially the first couple of years. When we had kids, we read aloud to our kids. They read aloud to us, and it continued pretty far into their life. I think they were still teenagers, and I was reading Harry Potter aloud to them, and that was a lot of fun. That was the bonus challenge. Maybe I said group challenge. That was the bonus challenge. The group challenge. Here's where I need your help. Is with the group challenge. It says to read a popular Victorian book that you haven't read yet, and I haven't read every single Victorian novel, that's for sure. But I've read a lot of the ones that come to mind when you think popular Victorian novel. So I found 3, and I'm really stretching the definition of popular here. They're by popular or at least familiar authors. And from what I can tell, they're be the more popular choices of their writing that I have not yet read of theirs, if that makes sense. And I couldn't decide between these 3, which of course the easy answer is, well, why don't you just read all 3 of them? Well, I'm going to try, but I want to do at least one. So to fulfill the popular part, I think they said we can define popular however we want. I'm going to post a poll, or you can comment below if I can't figure out how to do a poll. And I'll do this on all my social medias, on the podcast and everything. So I'm going to collect all this information from everywhere. I want you to vote on which 3 of these books I should read this Victober. All right. And so here they are. The first choice in no particular order is The Dead Secret by Wilkie Collins, which was a book that was popular when it came out. So that sort of counts. But I love Wilkie Collins. I've read his 2 most popular books, The Lady in White, or The Woman in White, and the other one. You know what I'm talking about. The other book is a collection of short stories by Charlotte Riddell, or Riddell. It's weird stories. Her story sounded really interesting and right in what I'm looking for October. So that's the second choice. And then the third choice is Susan Hopley by Catherine Crowe. And I think sometimes it goes by different names. I've seen it called a few different things, but that is some consider to be the very first detective novel. I know they say Edgar Allan Poe wrote the first detective novel, but this one actually came out the same year, a couple of months earlier, from what I have read. And so I want to try that book out and see what it's like. Again, that's Susan Hopley by Catherine Crowe. So those are my 3 choices. I'll have them mentioned again down below. Please let me know which one you think I should read. And I'm going to go with whichever one gets the most votes. Whatever you choose, that's the one I'm going to read. And do I have a particular favorite to try to sway the votes? No, I don't. All 3 sound really good. Really the kind of book I've been hoping to read in October this year for Victober. So let me know what you think I should read for the group challenge from those 3 choices. All right. Well, that's my Victober TBR. It's not as ambitious as some years, but it's more ambitious than I've done last year anyway. 2020 just stunk and it doesn't count. So, okay. But let me know what you're reading. Let me know if you have a TBR video. I can't wait to see what you're going to read. And as we celebrate some of the best literature ever written. So until next time, just keep reading.